Somewhere on a beach. Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady Dori, Belle, Lady MeeLing. I've been known by a few names. Subscribe to my channel, Reverend MeeLing, though. So, I'm going to briefly just go over certain aspects in reference to Finding a Silver Lining by me, Susan MeeLing. That goes with Finding the Silver Lining. So there were a bunch of people that I knew over the years that did not want to believe certain individuals in regards to letters I received from, you see, 3 stars, 2 stars. As far as generals that I had received letters from, and then, you know, different individuals I had dealt with in certain regards. So, real quick, you know, Chief Warrant Officer 3 that had been at that particular, and then, you know, the captain, Jerome Smith, who would be able to verify certain aspects, and then that would be a letter from Lieutenant Colonel, which was the lowest ranking individual at officer-wise at that funeral for my dead ex-husband. The senator was not there, but if you notice the date of May 15th, 2008, and how, while there are certain aspects, Senator Cornyn, by the way, had been certain regards, oh, here's the irony. And thankfully, I'm going to really quickly just kind of go in regards of, see how it says ex-wife. Thankfully, some people understood that, unlike my ex-in-laws. My ex-in-laws didn't want to pay attention to that fact of ex-in-law, you know, or specifically ex-husband in that regard. Thankfully, the Army understood. Thankfully, because, you know, thank you guys. Again, so I'm gonna, there's another letter, real quick, because I think that this one kind of freaked out somebody. Where did that go? I did have a letter from, White House. I guess that was taken out. I did have a letter from then President George W. Bush. Thought I had it in here. Apparently that was taken out of here, even though it was in the original aspect, because, you know, well, I was proud of that in a lot of ways. It was a personal thing in that regard. However, I did. Let's see. Yeah, apparently that was taken. Did have that in there though, because I was very proud of the fact that I had a letter from the White House. But I have another letter that's just for me in comparison to what I was dealing with at that time. So those particular aspects of those 2 and 3 star generals there were a bunch of civilians who did not want to believe me when I said, no, no, no. Like, the aspects behind my dead ex-husband's death were extremely difficult for me to explain. And there were very few individuals in the civilian sector who did not want to pay attention. And while I tried explaining those aspects, because they refused to look past what I look like, they thought, well, in regards to, for example, my ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, she had said that I didn't look normal enough for the ability to get anything done. You're right. I told her that. I told her you're right. However, the difference between looking normal, by your definition, and knowing what needs to actually be done are two different things. Massively huge different things. I can look as I do, but still know how to be respectful to the different guys. And despite the fact that, yes, I was called a royal fucking cunt by Brigadier General Gilman, I was. I'm still proud of that. I do acknowledge that, because it's not that that should happen. Let me clarify, not that that should occur or happen on a regular basis, face to face in that regard. I also was proud of that because of the fact that I knew he understood what I was bringing forward to him was the truth. I knew he understood that there were aspects that were extremely important. And while the emails don't have the dates the way the other emails do, in regards to the way I put them in the book, Finding a Silver Lining by Susan MeeLing, that's me, that would be an example of certain tampering. However, in that regard, I had, as it would very easily be known and seen, because of my haircut, when going and doing what I could, and I have completed videos prior to this one explaining the different aspects, not showing the proof of. I did at one point have all the coins from the different guys that had attended the funeral for my dead ex-husband. I had them in the Tupperware bins that I had to get rid of because of different things that had occurred in there. And not in a disrespectful way. I wanted to keep all of that. I did. Because, you know, that was a different form of proof in certain regards of who I had. Well, those who understand military coins understand that. And so, you know, I mean, I have the letters, yes, there's no denying that. Which, in all accounts, are a lot lighter than all those coins. Nonetheless, it still was important. Now, I kept those coins because of my daughter and my son. I wanted to make sure that they could have them. However, there were those issues because of Washington State and stuff like that. Anyway, as I had gone up the chain of command to make sure, and I have a feeling that in certain regards, while my ex-in-laws obviously did not understand, mainly my two ex-sisters-in-law, Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, whereas Grandpa Nichols and Tony Walker Nichols, and then even David Osteen, they had an understanding that despite what I look like, they knew that I would do what was necessary to get multiple aspects taken care of. I wish my ex-in-laws, as far as ex-sisters-in-law and their children, would have heeded my warnings. However, in regards to the others that I had known over the years, who did not want to believe certain aspects, usually I didn't have a problem when it came to military guys and law enforcement guys. They understood, they knew. They knew that when I had discussed certain things, I would not have been able to say certain things and describe them in full if I didn't experience those things and stuff like that. Mainly because of that head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. That whole thing. Not finishing basic training. And so, where I had done what I could to be as respectful as possible, there's another aspect as far as the date in regards to Senator Cornyn, on top of the aspects of the email issue, that I had contacted who I could in as minimal ways as possible online, because I knew that the in-person aspect was extremely important. Now, I have made the joke in reference to name-calling me. Because you have to, be accurate in the name you want to call me if you're going to attempt to insult me. And, I mean, and I wasn't being rude when I've said this, even to civilians. It was actually a different type of warning. If you're going to want to insult me, you're going to have to be truthful. Because even when that Major General, or Brigadier General, I thought he was a 2-star, nonetheless, Gilman, I really wasn't insulted when he called me a royal fucking cunt. I mean, I should have been. Mainly because of the language aspect. However, again, I knew that he was upset because he wasn't upset at me. He was upset at the fact that I was bringing it forward to him. Yeah, that there is no denying that. He was upset that I was bringing all that. Like, here you go. Fix it. He was upset by that. That's why he called me a royal fucking cunt. Nonetheless, it was still, well, thanks, because, you are going to have to be higher ranking to call me a name and I'm not even offended by that, and I should be, as a female, should very much be offended by that. I very much should have been. But I wasn't, because number one, the aspects that I was bringing forward to General Gilman, or Major General Gilman, was that it was important to make sure that the soldiers were taken care of. Not just Warrior Transition Unit, but all of them. And yes, the main focus at the time was Warrior Transition Unit, but it's not like there aren't soldiers who are in the equivalent of a medical hold, and they're not in Warrior Transition Unit officially. And so, and then their children, and so on and so forth. And the different aspects that I brought forward were valid points. The main starting point, realistically, as I've said many times before, not just in the video stuff, but in actual discussions with people, were the aspects of the memorial service. That was the starting point. However, when it came to the Chief Warrant Officer 3, who very much would be able to testify in reference to my two ex-sisters-in-law that day at Laurel Land Funeral Home, he saw how I did not allow them to go after him. Even my ex-brother-in-law, Tony Walker Nichols, and I think David as well, Osteen, I think the two of them, I know at least Tony Walker Nichols, possibly also David Osteen, they saw how when the Chief Warrant Officer 3 put the picture of their dead brother on the table to show them the dress blue picture with the ribbons and whatnot, all of them, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen probably would have complained to others about how I refused to let them go after the Chief Warrant Officer 3. He couldn't get a word in edgewise. It was one of those, no. He obviously has something to say. A Chief Warrant Officer 3 would not direct order an E7 to not be at the funeral that he technically is supposed to be directing if there wasn't a big issue. Now, I acknowledge part of that big issue might have been not just the dress blue aspect, also the fact, oh, you guys, why are you here? Other than to tell me that you guys aren't going to be doing, as far as the chaplain and the major, and I get that. I get that now. It's 2020, it's a little late. Nonetheless, I get that. I get that probably is also part of why I went to CID. Although, again, I would have just gone there if they had just told me, but hindsight is 2020. Realistically, however, in regards to that particular situation at the funeral home, whether on the left side, which ironically, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen, and their daughters, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez's son, were on the left side of the table, whereas Tony Walker Nichols and I think David Osteen were on the right side of the table. Chief Warrant Officer 3 was at one end of the table and I was at the other end. Not one individual there. Even Cactus Jack, also known as Jeffrey Kirkendall Jr., who was ironically on the same side as Mary Evangelina Nichols Osteen and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, as well as Grandma Nichols, by the way. There's not one person that probably either in the left side, irony again, complained, or on the right side saying, oh, she handled that. She put a kibosh and was like, Chief, let's go smoke. Let's go outside, we'll go walk and we'll go talk. Come walk with me. We'll talk for a while, and then when the coast is clear because of my ex-sisters-in-law and my ex-mother-in-law, talk with me. What you need to know. And I will handle it as best as I can. I'm not going to let you have to deal with that. I'm going to make sure that you get the answers in truth. And, you don't have to deal with that. I won't make you deal with that at all. And as best as I can. And so, where the guys on the right were probably like, where'd that voice come from? Nonetheless, when Brigadier General or Major General Gilman and I were in the same office, in his office at Fort Sam Houston in BAMC, I don't doubt for a second that he already knew from the Chief Warrant Officer 3 that I was not being rude. And so, while there were a lot of civilians, for example them, that did not want to accept the reality of certain things, when I went up the chain of command, I did not bring up the Purple Heart. That my now dead ex-husband was complaining about. Because the Chief Warrant Officer 3 had said my dead ex-husband had self-awarded 3 Purple Hearts. I did bring up why did he get a Bronze Star if he was denied a Purple Heart. That I did bring up. That I did bring up, because why would you get a Bronze Star? Being denied the Purple Heart with the claim that my dead ex-husband made of the shrapnel wounds, because that would automatically qualify for a Purple Heart. By technicalities, that actually would be a qualification to earn a Purple Heart, along with a Bronze Star. I may not know what the actual ribbon looks like, but I do know the actual meanings behind certain ones. And so you don't earn a Bronze Star 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, or 7 times out of 10, without getting a Purple Heart. If you're gonna, I'm just saying. Not trying to be rude when I point that out. Just a fact. And so, when explaining certain things in the adult lifestyle, because that was mainly where that was discussed, but also even in scuba diving. There were times in scuba diving I discussed that. Not in full, though nonetheless discussed. It was one of those, I know that I don't look like the average scuba diver. You know that. I know that how I got into scuba diving, not the average way. Don't deny that either. However, in both situations, in both groups, it doesn't change the experiences that I've had, as far as where I've had to go in order to take care of things. And, again, I'm glad that there are, veterans that have been able to find that scuba diving does help them. I'm glad. Don't go too deep. I know the irony on that one, after where I landed. Nonetheless, in regards to the different individuals that, specifically in the BDSM community, and more so in the swinger community, not so much in the LGBTQP. They ironically really, it wasn't something that I had to prove to them. They accepted me far quicker in certain ways that I can't really put into words or understand. And so, hey, that's cool. I'm glad. I'm sure there's certain physical attributes in certain regards why there was certain aspects understood a little bit more. But in regards to, the aspects with the name calling, it's one of those, I don't have to prove myself to you. I just am who I am. And with the amount of people that I've had, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. No, you don't know what you're talking about. You have no clue. You need to be more respectful, in regards to certain TNGers at that time. where it was like, you know, yeah, I get you don't agree with the war. I get that. Do you think that soldiers want to go to war? The answer is no. That was a rhetorical question. Yes, that is part of the job description, but they don't actually want to have to. It's kind of like the Second Amendment in certain ways. You want that around, you just don't want to have to use it unless it's absolutely mandatory. So in the regard of soldiers and war, you don't want to have to go there. Don't want to have to go to war. But have them ready to go at all times in case it's absolutely mandatory. And while some people did not want to listen to me or heed my warnings when it came to the healthcare aspects, it's one of those, you guys have to pay attention to what is going on. Open your eyes. You know, hear with your ears what is going on. These guys have gone through all sorts of stuff to ensure that you can live a, you know, whatever you make of it sort of life. And so, while my ex-sisters-in-law probably, hypothetically, blame the army for the death of their brother, my dead ex-husband, and while I did not, I told him before he left, before when he originally told me about IRR, that no, you're not coming back. You're not. You will not leave the army without being in a body bag. And people thought I was cold when I said that. I said, no, that's the reality. That is the reality. And it did become the reality by his own choices. So, while my ex-boyfriend, the one who I met at Cowboys Dance Hall, told me I should have hated the army, and he knew I hated the army. No, I didn't. Did not hate the army. Did not hate any branch of service. I wouldn't continue saying thank you for your service to people when still in the state of Texas before winding up in Washington State if I felt the way that I was told to feel. I also would not have continued to thank guys for their service when in Washington State or Arizona if I felt the way I was told to feel. I cannot speak for my ex-sisters-in-law, obviously. However, with what I have endured in regards to it, the multitude of aspects, by technicalities I could see where people would think you should. But as I have explained multiple times, it is not the entire army that gave me my head injury. There's one drill sergeant. As far as the aspects in regards to what occurred with my dead ex-husband, I don't blame the entire army. It's the individuals that had certain problems that needed to be taken care of. And again, it wasn't the only time that something like that had occurred. When in medical hold, there were, and I'm talking when I was in medical hold where I met my now dead ex-husband, there were a lot of things that were going on. And that's something that I explained to General Gilman just before being called a royal fucking cunt. And, you know, again, you have to be accurate. And I don't deny, I kind of wear that badge with pride. Because how many, probably not a badge to be proud of realistically, but when you think about it, how many civilians can say that in the office of any general, any of the 5 types of generals, when going in there, being respectful, making sure that stuff is squared away, all that sort of stuff, to actually get genuinely fixed. Cause problems, not to cause any issues for them, but to fix things so that way they don't have to deal with anything in that regard as best as possible. Not just them, but every soldier. Bottom to top, top to bottom. How many can say? Only someone from New Jersey would be proud of that. Realistically, only somebody from New Jersey would be proud of that. Now that I think about it, the irony in that regard in reference to General George Washington's pride of the dream. Just saying. But how many? How many people would have had that occur to them and then fly off the handle? Especially females. Instead, oh, wow. Why don't you tell me something I don't know, General? Thank you, because you don't know what you did. And realistically, he didn't at that moment. He spoke in anger, and at the same time, it was more that he was frustrated. And I did not go after him the way I could have. Oh, I could have. How many females lose it when somebody calls them a cunt? Doesn't even have to be in uniform, right? Rightfully so, being upset by that in certain regards. But then in reference to the ones that were like, oh, you're such a bitch. I was born in the year of the dog. Why don't you try calling me something that I haven't called myself? Kind of difficult calling me a bitch when I've called myself a bitch. Not forgetting, hearing that in utero. Just throwing that out there. And just saying. However, I'm going to end this particular aspect of this video in regards to what I told my son. And I had made the joke to my son. And this was when he was older, he was a teenager. I think it was when we were in Montana in 2017. I said, if anybody ever calls you a son of a bitch, you shouldn't be offended. Why? Why, Mom? Because I was born in the year of the dog. And by veterinary standards, called a bitch. So, you shouldn't be offended by those words. Don't be a pansy about it, Just saying, I was born in the year of the dog. 1982 was in the year of the dog. By veterinary standards, they are called bitch. So, That's right. And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, Mom? Really? Oh my God, Mom. Yeah, what? Tell me that's not true. Tell me that's not true, but you better not lie to me. Yeah, by veterinary standards. Technically, female dogs are called bitches. That's right, so you can't be offended if somebody calls you a bitch. Or, well, son of a bitch. And, just saying. So, you know, I've been called many names, and not saying that I couldn't be called a name that would be offensive, but you'd have to be telling me the truth. You'd have to be calling me a name that would offend me, and yet you'd have to be like telling the truth. Like if I was actually being a cunt, then you know, then I would be offended. But I wasn't. And I wasn't called a cunt, I was called a royal fucking cunt. Though I did have somebody in Washington State try to tell me that I looked like I had resting cunt face, and it was one of those, yeah, well, yeah. Excuse me for trying not to let my headache pains cause any problems, and you know, this sort of, and in my thoughts, it was like, yeah, and I got called a royal fucking cunt by Star General. Just saying. So, gotta be this name to call me. Good luck with that. You know, I wish you the best of luck, but I really don't think that's a good idea. Could be wrong. Could be wrong, but you know, I'm just saying. I mean, you could offend me by calling me a liar when you know I'm telling the truth. That'll offend me, but then, you know, that sounds like it'd be a self-projection sort of issue. Because I can't tell a lie. So, you guys have a good one.